Sensitive, it picks up everything. Check 1 2 1 2 3.
Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air. Stand by.
Now, here's JP.
All righty, a hearty good morning here from our studios in Orlando, and Nick Geddes back at our RHS TV studios in St. Petersburg. It's been a very interesting weekend of Rays baseball, and unfortunately some departures from your Tampa Bay Lightning as I'm repping their shirt here today. Alex Killorn, longtime Lightning player, 11 years with the Tampa Bay Lightning, 11 years, signs a deal with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, 4 years, $25 million, over $6 million AAV for a 34-year-old forward. In essence, I hate to see him leave, but I'm glad that contract is not on the Lightning's books right now. Good morning to you, Nick Geddes. How are you with my callous opening of just tossing Alex Killorn out the door like a jerk? Of course, I'm not doing that, but many will see it that way. We'll get into what his impact was, but I think most Lightning fans were prepared for this, although some of the emotion made me think maybe not.
Yeah, good morning to you. Hope you're doing well over there in Orlando. You're back from Las Vegas as well.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get into Vegas, baby.
Hope you had a good time. One of the more eventful weekends, I think, in Tampa Bay sports in a really long time.
Yeah.
With free agency and re-signings, losing Killorn. I mean, I think some maybe surprising moves the Lightning made over the last 3 days or so. The Rays as well in Seattle, the All-Star game debacle going on there. Who wasn't selected is the news there.
Mm-hmm.
Randy in the home run derby. Questionable decisions by the umps yesterday in the game.
Terrible call.
Rays.
Terrible call.
Terrible call. We'll get into
Terrible
that.
call.
We have, Ricky Fowler wins his first PGA Tour event in 1,600 days, and nobody saw it.
Nobody saw it. What's going on? PGA Tour, what are you doing? What is the PGA Tour doing? They're, I know J.M. Monahan's been ill. I don't know, we'll just leave that where it is. But what are we doing? Like, just stupid decisions. Who's running it? Live Golf? Did Greg Norman suddenly move over to the PGA Tour?
I thought hell froze over yesterday. I'm going through my guide, and I'm trying to find Ricky, and I couldn't find it. But the Live Golf was on the CW yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't watch a second of that. I could have watched that if I wanted to, but I couldn't watch the PGA Tour.
I tried to watch it again, man. I can't watch Live Golf with the clown show on the left hand of the screen. I mean, I love a good party like anybody else, especially on the golf course. But when I turn on to watch my PGA Tour, I don't want a clown show. I got teams. I don't know who the hell's on teams. I don't know what their teams are called. You're out there in shorts. The music's blaring. I don't know. But I will say this. That leaderboard was a hell of a lot better than I won't say a hell of a lot better, but there were more stars on the Live board than there were on the PGA Tour board. But I don't know. That was a bad weekend for golf, which should have been a great weekend for the PGA Tour, which should have been a monument. You had two guys in Morikawa and Ricky trying to break droughts. Great theater there. And nobody saw it. So we'll get into that a little bit later as well, what the hell's going on with the PGA Tour. But yeah, Vegas was incredible. I got so many great stories from Vegas, so we'll get into that as well. But I think, obviously, the lead story is the Lightning, and look, the departure of Alex Killorn was, I mean, there was some hope that, maybe he would take a hometown discount. But come on, when somebody's going to offer you $6.5 million till the time you're 38 years old playing this game, I mean, he did go to Harvard. So he's not that stupid. I mean, heartstrings are what they are, but at this point, you got to take that money. I thought if the offers were around 4.5, which I think would have been probably more appropriate, then maybe something could be done. But when it gets up to that, I mean, he's got to go, and good for him. That's a great deal for him. It's a great contract from him. He helped us, such an instrumental piece in winning 2 cups as an influencer, as a connection to the fans. I don't know many guys that have done it better than Alex Killorn has, and his tenure here will never be forgotten. I think there's certain tiers, right? You have the Marty, Vinny, Stammer level, and that's tier 1, and then you have tier 2, which I think is a pretty elite level, right? That's Palat, that's Killorn, that's Darren Pupa, Brian Bradley. That second tier guys that will never be forgotten. They're just part of the fabric of this organization, and he's there. He's a notch below the guys that are Hall of Famers, which is no knock on anybody, right? Andreychuk, Stamkos, St. Louis, Marty. Eventually Kucherov gets there. Eventually Vasi gets there, and Hedman gets there. And I don't put Killorn there. I don't put him there, but he's just below it. And that's just his presence in Amalie Arena will always be there. I expect after he's done in Anaheim, he's moving back to Florida, and he becomes part of our community here, and just part of the Lightning alumni that you see all the time, and you just love to have him here. I think that maybe he gets stars in his eyes, and he loves LA, and thinks, California, if you have a lot of money and can isolate yourself from the crazy, is a great place to be. But for me, and I think Killorn, he seems more like a Tampa guy to me.
Yeah, I think ultimately he'll be back in some fashion with this organization. I have no reason not to believe that. But yeah, I saw a lot of people that were like, Alex Killorn, how could he do this? He said he wanted to stay, and
stop.
I think there might have been a comment, I'd rather retire than play somewhere else, and all this stuff. It's like,
stop.
Listen, I'm just not going to criticize the guy. I mean, he's 34 years old. He's the longest tenured player in the history of this franchise. 11 years with the top team, but he's been here in the organization for 16 years.
Wow.
Okay? Then he was here for 16 years. Marty wasn't here for 16 years. Stamkos is going to surpass that, like this year or the next year. But right now, he's the longest tenured player that was on this franchise. Won 2 Stanley Cups, memorable moments, goals in the Stanley Cup final, all those things. And a lot of people are like, well, if he doesn't want to be here, then good. We don't want players who don't want to be here. I don't think it was that simple. I kept telling you, I'm like, there's always going to be one team, especially in NHL free agency, that is going to overspend to get a top player. And in a UFA class that was pretty weak, if we're going to be honest here, like, I love Alex Killorn as a player, but if he's the top option or one of the top 3 forward options, that should pretty much tell you where we're at right now with free agency this year. A little on the weak side. And Alex Killorn, I haven't seen anybody forward-wise that got the money that he got and the term.
No.
Right? So, again, this was his last chance to cash out and really get the money that he's deserved, in my opinion. And if you believe the report from Pierre LeBrun, who's the TSN insider, that the Lightning offered him 8 years, $2.5 million per. I mean, yeah, you get the security that you're here forever and you'll retire, but $2.5 million per, I mean, you talk about that's more than half of a pay cut.
Yeah.
I believe, of what he was making last year with the Lightning.
Right.
That's a lot of money to let go. And the tax situation, I get a lot of people are saying, well, if you even it out because of the tax in California, I get all that. But it's still a lot of money. I think he's still going to make more playing in Anaheim. It's a team that I think, even though they were really bad last year, they got a lot of young talent there. It's going to keep him young. He's going to be a veteran voice in that locker room. So I think for Alex Killorn, it's a pretty good move, in my opinion. And the Lightning, I mean, this is what you get when you win 2 Stanley Cups, right?
Right,
We're
exactly.
How many
Exactly.
guys that we had to say goodbye to that we love?
It's the way it works.
It's just
Yeah.
the way it works, and I think you'll take the trade-off of 2 Stanley Cups anytime.
Absolutely. It's a salary cap league and a hard salary cap league. I mean, it's not like the NFL where you can fudge a lot of this stuff. It's a hard salary cap league. And, the Lightning could not afford to pay him $4 million, really, unless you want to give up a couple more players. And they've got to, and frankly, I think where the game's going, you got to get faster. Alex Killorn is not the fastest skater in the world. And to pay a forward, that much money. Look, they're paying for his experience, his savvy, the leadership to bring to that team. The Lightning don't need that, right? They don't need that. They've got plenty of leadership. They've got plenty of savvy. They've got all that. They don't need to pay for that. And you can't pay for past performance. And that's the thing. And I like the fact that Julien Brisebois really is not a sentimental character. He knew he had to get rid of Ryan McDonagh. He did it. He didn't sacrifice the core of the team. He knew where the future was going. Did it hurt? Oh, my God. I talked to him about it. It's gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching, but it has to be done. And the same thing with Alex Killorn. You could probably find a way, but you're going to say goodbye to Tanner Jeannot. You're probably going to have to say goodbye to who's up next? I'm a brain fart here.
Hagel, they still have to get
Hagel
extension.
Yeah, Hagel, they got to sign to an extension. And they still have to add a few more players, folks. Don't forget that. They still got to add a couple more, probably maybe another blue liner. So, yeah. They're up against it. And if they tried to keep him, and he's 34 years old, my goodness, come on now. You could take that money and add 3 young players that are up and coming. And the way the Lightning develop players, you gotta have faith in Julien Brisebois. We'll hear from him in just a second. It's tough dealing when you've got this many stars. And the other part of it, he knew that this day was coming when he signed the Cirelli deal, when he signed the Sergachev deal. Okay, it's not just about Jeannot. People say, Jeannot, we could do without him. We could do without. Look, it's not just them. It's Cirelli. It's all the rest of these Sergachev and these guys that had to get paid moving forward.
And you got to give Stamkos his deal as well.
That's right. That's right.
They don't want to let him go anywhere else. He's going to retire a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And
right.
To the point about what they did in free agency, and I know a lot of the deals are kind of like smaller deals and stuff like that. If you were to splurge on Alex Killorn, I don't think they're able to add as many guys as they did in free agency. And you might say, okay, well, a lot of these guys are lower tier. I think it'd be even lower than that when it comes to the caliber of player if you try to bring Alex Killorn back. And, did they expect this? Because, they traded Ross Colton, and I thought the Colton move was so they could do the best they can to bring Killorn back. So I don't know if they were caught off guard by that, and that was a trade that they made knowing that, but also would have had to give Ross Colton a contract, and maybe they looked down the line and said, that's not feasible for us. He's not part of our true core.
Right.
Maybe that's part of it. But to your point, as we've been saying, the Lightning got to get faster. They've got to get faster, especially in the Eastern Conference, which has a lot of teams that can skate. And if you get in a track meet, I don't trust that this team at this moment can keep up with them. And, look at the move yesterday, too, where they trade Pat Maroon, which came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think they've kind of told you based on the Perry trade, the Maroon trade, they are looking to reshape what they have in that forward depth and get more quicker. And do they have to sacrifice some experience? Of course they do. But the good thing is this roster has played in so many big games. Everybody has experience. Mikhail Sergachev is 24 years old. He's probably one of the more experienced defenders in the league, if you think about it, because of all the top hockey he's played in Stanley Cup finals and playoffs and all stuff like that. So I don't think you're really losing much, honestly, when you sacrifice a Corey Perry or a Pat Maroon. I think it actually helps them because you have more speed down there and guys who are also going to be able to throw the body around as well.
Right. So I think this is it's just necessary. It sucks. But thus is the world in the NHL hard cap. And I saw a lot of belly aching by fans and some people taking shots at the organization and JBB, Julien Brisebois. I'm like, this is unwarranted. This is unwarranted. Look at the success this team has had, the continued success. Nobody in the NHL comes even close to what the Lightning have done the last 8 to 10 years, the last 5 years especially. So you gotta give a little bit of of deference here to the Lightning. I mean, we do this all the time with the Rays, right? They make moves and we're like, oh, but hey, they win on a budget, blah blah blah. At least this team spends to the cap. Every dollar they can squeeze to these players, they give it out. Even if we have to monkey around with the injured list, wink wink, the owner's willing to do it. So that's very unlike the Rays. So any criticism that's coming at the Lightning, and I know, disclaimer, they are my employer, one of my employers. I'm sorry. Objectively, you got to look at this and say that contract. I'm happy for Alex Killorn, and to me, if it was like a $4 million deal as compared to, then I think you might have a little bit of, you could be pissed at Alex Killorn. This is $6.5 million a year. Come on now, that's $4 million more than the Lightning were able to offer. And frankly, what the Lightning offered is about, I think, what Alex Killorn is worth going forward. And if that seems mean, I'm sorry. To this organization. Again, to Anaheim organization, he's worth a lot more because of all those intangibles that he brings. And for them, this is a great move. You want to go get a guy like this that's going to help build the younger guys and teach them what winning a Stanley Cup is all about. That template of from player and having a leader, that Dave Andreychuk type of thing, is invaluable for young teams that are trying to build. So I think the move for Anna, I think they spent a little bit much. Yeah, they did. But to your point, there wasn't a lot out there. Supply and demand.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes in free agency.
Right.
And even if you look about Killorn, I mean, how valued he was, I mean, even like a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, he got like 4 years, $4.5 million out of Nashville. Killorn is 2 years older than Ryan O'Reilly.
Right.
And I think pretty comparable players. I'm a big fan of Ryan O'Reilly. I thought he was fantastic in that series against the Lightning for Toronto. He got 4 years, 4.5. I mean, Killorn got $2 million more than that on the same term, which again, you just factor all that in. How could he pass that up? How could he honestly pass it up? Like I said, I don't think there was another forward on this market that got the money that Alex Killorn got. I mean, another one, Matt Duchene. I mean, this guy scored 43 goals 2 years ago.
Right.
And he's 2 years younger than Alex Killorn, has more of a track record of being a goal scorer. You know what? He got 1 year, $3 million from Dallas. I mean, Killorn really struck iron when it was hot here. It's a good deal for him, and he'll be back. Trust me, he'll be back in this organization, but he gave you 16 years. He gave you 16 years in the NHL in the salary cap era. I mean, that's almost unheard of nowadays.
Right.
So
Exactly.
You have to just tip your hat to Alex Killorn for what he did and just root for him to have success at Anaheim. And that's all you can really do.
All right, let's cue up the Julien Brisebois sound if we can here, and I think he does a great job of explaining a lot of the moves that they have to make, and I applaud him. Most general managers would knuckle under to the fans and try to do whatever they can to keep Killorn here because he was so popular. But that's not the right move for the Lightning. It's not the right move for the Lightning. And this is a business. As I said, getting sentimental and paying for past performance is a one-way ticket to suck them. And it's no good. And he did the right move. Let's hear from Julien Brisebois.
Yeah, we'll do the first one here, him losing Killorn.
So much to our organization and has a very important place in the history of our franchise. A player that was drafted by the organization, developed by the organization, came in with that wave that kind of gave the momentum to our franchise, going back to being one of the premier franchises in the league and bringing the Stanley Cup back to Tampa Bay. Tremendous leader on the ice, in the locker room, in the community. Really happy for him. He's getting a great opportunity in Anaheim. I know he did not necessarily want to leave. Didn't want to leave. We didn't want to lose him, but sometimes the economics of the business come into play, and we just couldn't bridge the difference and couldn't come up with a scenario where we could come up with a contract that was acceptable to him and that would allow us to keep the other players that we want to keep and be able to have a competitive roster for the future. So obviously disappointed to see him go, but very happy for him and excited that we are bringing in some new players, and those new players, I think, help reestablish our identity because they are all fast. They're all relentless forecheckers. They are all responsible defensively. They're hard to play against, and I think that's going to help us be a very competitive team going into the next season.
And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. It's about moving forward. And we'll talk a little bit about the guys that they got with Erik Erlendsson, who will join us at 10:30, Lightning Insider, the best of the best, and what the new lines may look like as well. I think they, just a quick note for me, I think they did okay. I think they got some guys that are faster, more tenacious, tougher guys. I think the Lightning will be a tougher team to play against, which is something that John Cooper always harps upon. Faster, more, and we've seen this a little bit in the league. These smaller guys, tougher guys that are just relentless. Very, the Yanni Gourds of the world. And I think this is where the game is going. Quite frankly, Mikey Eyssimont, and they need some more of these guys. So we'll see. We'll see.
The Connor Sheary.
Connor Sheary, love it.
I think it's a great addition. He's played with Crosby and Malkin before with Pittsburgh and won cups. He played with Ovechkin here in Washington and did very well there. I mean, that's a guy that can score 20. He's not out of the question that guy can score 20, 25 goals.
No.
He's playing with the right guys. Undersized, but the Lightning know how to use those guys to the best of their ability, like you mentioned. I mean, I think that's a guy where 2 months into the season, you're going to forget, I think, about Ross Colton probably a little bit. Because he's going to kind of help alleviate that loss, I think.
Yeah. All right. So we'll hear more from JBB a little bit later on some of the other players. I want to transition here into the Lightning, to the Rays, since we're going to talk to Erik Erlendsson here. Tough weekend for the Rays for a lot of different reasons. You blow a 6-1 lead. The bullpen was not good this weekend. Glasnow was okay. McClanahan okay. Taj Bradley not okay. And I don't know. It was just a weird weekend. A weird weekend. I kind of want to start with the play of Paredes and Ty France yesterday. Yeah, this is a classic example. You didn't see the play. Ty France, or who hit a chopper? Some guy hit a chopper. Hernandez hits a chopper, and Paredes is coming in. Guy on second, Ty France, and he's coming in to get the dribbler. The play is right ahead of Ty France. I mean, he's got and had such an easy. You just see guys do this all the time. You got to look at the fielder in front of you, and you see him charging, and you move behind him. This is a basic play. The runner has, especially with the play in front of him, has the obligation to not impede the fielder. An original call is obstruction. You're out. It's an easy call. And then Scott Service, the Mariners manager, says, no, the ball was past Paredes. And this is, I mean, first of all, that's a kind of a bang part of the play. The larger part, and this is where these umpires, I think, sometimes like to hear themselves talk and like to tell everybody they know the rule book. Like, if the ball's past the fielder, then technically it's not interference. Okay, technically, look at the spirit of the rule is not to have the fielder not impeded, smashed by the runner who clearly can see the fielder coming. I mean, to act like in some way, and this is what the umpire said, that Paredes, the ball was past him and he was impeding the runner from scoring. That's asinine. That is so asinine. This is nitpicking. All right, this is, a blade of grass touching the football as a guy lays out and makes an unbelievable catch, pulls it into his body. 99.9% of the ball is controlled and in his body, and controlled. 100% of the ball is controlled, but a blade of grass, and you're going to call it incomplete. No. This is egregious, and it cost them the game. It's a 6-2 game at that point. Both those runners score. They go on to make it 6-5 in the third inning. It's the game changer, and it's a horrible call. It is a horrible call. It's just over-officiating and over-umpiring at its finest, and it's awful. This wasn't even – I don't even think it's a close call. It's not even close. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't think so either. And my first thing is I feel for Taj Bradley in that moment because, and on his point, his ERA is it's over 5 now, and man, I just don't think he's been that bad. I don't think
he hasn't.
What he's been.
Not even close.
I feel like when he gets in trouble, it usually is one inning that blows up on him. And
it's usually like 2 flares. I mean, look at that ball. What is that? 30 miles an hour off the bat? I mean, talk about weak contact.
I was going to say, I mean, if you're into like the analytical numbers there and some of the sabermetrics of bad luck, I mean, I can't think you can argue that Taj Bradley has definitely had that. It just seems like those type of things happen when he's on the mound for whatever reason, and then that inning gets away from him. I mean, the momentum. It's just the momentum switch that I think that created and allowed Seattle to get back in there. Now, again, if you're the Rays, I mean, you do have to say you got off to such a hot start with 6 runs in 2 innings or whatever it was, and then one hit from the 4th inning on. I mean, you still gotta hit. I mean, I think that's the bottom line there, right? I mean, we can bitch about the call, but the Rays still had a pretty good cushion. You'd think they'd be able to come alive with the hitting, but they let Castillo give credit to Castillo. I mean, he's an all-star for a reason. He settled in and ended his day nicely, and the Seattle bullpen, which hadn't been really great in this series, came through for them. But it was just a weird series, I thought. Which again, these West Coast series, I'm so ready for the Rays to just get out of the West.
I think they're done with them. Yeah.
Yeah, please. I'm hoping this is it for the West Coast because it just seems like everything's been weird for this team. But yes, that play definitely had a huge impact on the game, and I hate it for Taj Bradley and obviously Isak because he had to come out of the game which did not help. You lose a big bat in your lineup, a guy who hit another home run yesterday up to 14. He's been great this first half. But yeah, it just, again, weird series for the Rays. And you mentioned the bullpen wasn't that great. I mean, the Rays actually ended June having like the best bullpen in baseball, if you can believe it. They actually turned things around. I think you could probably question some of the decisions of who came in certain spots. Like Jalen Beeks comes up for McClanahan, and in that moment in a close game on Saturday?
Yeah,
I believe it was, and it's 3-2, and we're going to Jalen Beeks. Probably would disagree with that one a little bit.
So early in the game, though. I mean, who else you bringing in?
It is, but I'm a fan of putting in your high leverage guys in whatever situation it is. If it's a close game like that, I feel like you do it with your high leverage guys, and Beeks is not that, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to nitpick Kevin Cash or anything, but my observation.
You can make a case for that.
Even like a Diekman. I mean, I had to look this morning because I was like, where the hell was Jake Diekman this series? He pitched a 0 2/3. Okay, that's it in this whole entire series for a guy who hasn't given up a run in like his last 13 outings. So
that's surprising.
That. I'm like, where did he go? Jason Adam, my goodness,
he's awful.
The worst of Jason Adam yesterday. That inning got away from them too, and he didn't even give up a hit. Just 2 walks, 2 hit by pitches.
He's got no control right now.
He got no control right now. It's hard to watch.
It's bad. It seems like this is just a middling team right now.
I don't want to say that though, because as much as we banged on them in the month of June, they ended the month of June with the best record in the American League. 16-10 was the best. That's the funny thing about this team is
16-10 was the best record in the American League?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're nitpicking this team and, middling, and they're not playing their best baseball, but they still were the best team in the American League in the month of June. It's like the standards of this team, we just have it so high right now. It feels like they're not playing their best baseball, but they've still found a way to claw and scratch their way to wins and be above water. And that's what I said. If they were going to pick a time to kind of scuffle just a little bit, they picked a good time because the American League is kind of at its lowest at the moment. So with all that being said, I don't know if I'd go as far as calling them like they're middling right now. I think it's just typical wear and tear. They've played more games than everybody. 2 West Coast trips like that back to back. It's not hard. It's not easy for any team. And then obviously the issues they have with some of the injured list guys, and McClanahan added to that as well. Yeah,
the McClanahan thing is starting to bother me. I know it's not a lower back injury, which is good, but again, our pitchers. Why can't we keep them healthy? It's disturbing. It's just disturbing, and I don't know. Let's just hope that he's ready to go. And God, it sucks the timing too, because he starts this All-Star game. Don't you think?
I think he's definitely one of the 2 or 3 names that you consider.
Yeah, you start 2 All-Star games in a row, you're starting to get into rarefied air. I mean, rarefied air. And baseball, is about numbers, right? And so when it comes to Hall of Fame and all those things really, really matter. And he had a chance to do that, which is so it's not that he won't get another chance. He may start another All-Star game, but you just never know. He pitched well enough in this first half to get that. And that would have been really, really nice for him to get that. Of course, it's going to cost a raise on the back end, too. But speaking of that, something I wanted to get into. And Wander had a nice weekend. Defensively, he made some plays that, I think since the benching, he seems to be a little bit of a better, he certainly has his emotions better in check. Yesterday, he even gives Randy his sunglasses, right? So, I mean, nice little exchange there. That's important. I know it seems little, but it's important. And I think he got it. And I think the best thing that happened this weekend, and many might disagree with me, is that he didn't get elected to the All-Star game. Now, he still might be able to go with an injury, but Bo Bichette was the guy who kind of because Corey Seager, he's the guy that I'm going to say what's up with that.
Are you though?
He only played like half the first half. He's missed a lot of games.
He played at an MVP level when he was out there.
I know, but to me, showing up matters.
Well,
it's about you get to win an All-Star game because of your first half. Okay, that's what you're supposed to be judged on, and he's got half of a first half. It's harder to play the whole. Baseball's a game of failure. The more you expose yourself, the more failure you have.
Well,
also he could have put up bigger numbers. You could say that as well. I'm just saying that, especially in that lineup too, where you're just there's no.
Listen, I understand though, but even in so Wander played 80 games and Seager played 52, and he's only trailing Wander in that time by 17 hits. He has 7 more RBIs, and he's hitting .351. I mean, that one doesn't bother me. And also, he got voted in from the fans, so that becomes a separate issue, in my opinion, because the fans voted him in. Bichette deserved it. I said yesterday on Twitter, my only gripe is that Whit Merrifield. I mean, what the hell? And don't give me the crap about he plays second base, Wander plays shortstop. End of story. Come on. Shortstop, second base, all those guys can play second for an inning. It's not going to kill them in an All-Star game.
Right.
I just didn't understand why we're just putting Whit Merrifield in there, whose numbers are nothing close to Wander Franco. It's like as if they said, he came in second in voting, so we might as well put him in. And then,
but I'm glad Wander's not going.
You might be glad, but I'm not. It doesn't sit well with me that the Rays had 3 All-Stars and the Blue Jays, who sit 4th place in the AL East, get 4. Doesn't sit well with me one bit. Yeah,
I agree with that. I think Eflin was certainly could have gone.
Maybe he should replace McClanahan. He should replace McClanahan.
Well, McClanahan's going to go. He's going to stay on the roster. He's going to go, and he's going to enjoy him. Yeah, if they can do that, absolutely. The Rays definitely deserve more. But I just think in the long term, I wonder, since, now it's this triumvirate of baseball officials that name these. They've taken away from the manager because managers have abused their privilege. Shocking development. And we don't really know who this panel is. But I wonder if they looked at the fact that Wander was benched and said, Bo Bichette, we'll send you. We'll send you instead. You play. I don't want to beat this dead horse, but you're playing the game with more respectful than Wander is. We'll give you the nod. If that was the case, or maybe the Rays said, if Wander doesn't go, maybe we're not that upset.
I just think Bo's numbers are straight up better than Wander's.
They are, but now, let's offensive numbers.
Yes.
Who leads? Your WAR. You're the WAR guy. Who leads the American League? And I think baseball in WAR.
Well,
Wander Franco.
It's Wander Franco.
Yeah, Wander Franco. Right. So
that's a fair assessment. If you look at the top 10 in WAR, the only guy who's on that list that didn't make the All-Star game was Wander Franco, and he's 3rd behind Ohtani and Acuna.
Right. So right there, you can make the case that he deserves it better than Bo Bichette. But again, I'm okay with it because I think you put him on the All-Star team, and all of a sudden it's another it's another one of those. Hey, you're the greatest. You're the best. Nobody can touch you. go do your thing, do whatever the hell you want to do. It just gives him more license to be more Wander. And I think this is good that he has to chase the All-Star game now a little bit more and do it next year. Now, he'll probably be might get on added because of injuries, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, I didn't have that opinion.
Okay.
I didn't have that opinion at all. I mean, I'm just looking at – the only thing I can say is, like, we'll get all huffy about All-Star selections, but the goal is to win the World Series.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the way I looked at it as well. I'm like, well, yeah, it sucks, and we should have more All-Stars, and if the Braves are going to have 8, I'd assume the Rays should have, at least 4, right? I think they've earned that right, and it didn't happen. But, again, you got guys – I mean, you had to send an Oakland A to the All-Star game, and you had to send a Detroit Tiger to the All-Star game, and you had to send a Kansas City Royal to the All-Star game. So –
all right, we've got
guys to get left out.
We've gone over. Our good friend Erik Erlendsson is waiting for you to call him. So let's take a break, and we'll move back to the Lightning and get the take from the Lightning insider. The man's been covering his team longer than it's been alive, it seems like. Erik Erlendsson will join us from his vacation in Ohio. Nice enough for him to join us. But we'll take a quick break here. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Get the personal attention you deserve from one of the best law firms in the nation. They're big, but they give you that personal attention. They can take on the insurance companies and get your best settlement. Scott Jeeves, you've heard him on the show many, many times. Great guy, very approachable. Just give him a call. He'll be happy to talk to you and see if you got a case. That's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back in 3. Stay with us. Guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. Brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo will join us at 11:45 here today. So if you have any questions about your health, your nutrition, just went and got my blood work done this morning, so I might be a little bit, if I pass out, Nick, that's probably why. Low on blood today. All right, or maybe it was the weekend in Vegas. Who knows? All right, let's chat with our good friend Erik Erlendsson, the Lightning Insider, about all the shenanigans going on over at 401 Channelside Drive. What's up, Erik? How are you, my friend?
Do we have? What's going on, man?
There we are. Yeah, I got you. How's Ohio? Hopefully, I just walked outside this morning early. It was only about feels like 103 this morning as we walked the dogs at 7 a.m. So hopefully Ohio's nicer.
4 degrees here right now.
Nice, very very nice, very very nice. All right, lots of shenanigans going on. The Alex Killorn thing we talked about. That's a lot of money to say no to. What Anaheim offered him, and I'm not trying to be callous when I say this, but I'm glad that contract is not on the Lightning's books. And I will forever love Alex Killorn and everything he's given this franchise. And I think he's as I said earlier, I think he's just in that just below tier of the Hall of Famers for the Lightning, the Vinny Martys, Stamkos, etc. But I'm not mad at Alex Killorn. I'm not mad at the Lightning. What are your thoughts?
I think that's a perfect way to put it, because it was a pure cap situation. We know the Lightning's cap situation. There was a reason why the reported offer they gave him was $2 to $2.5 million on a long-term deal, because that's all that's sit under the cap. Now, the cap will go up next year, but that doesn't help him this year. So, I mean, look, Alex, and don't discount the pressure from the PA as well, to not take that type of a deal when, look, we all thought when Lauren signed that 7-year deal before where the cap hit 4.7, they all thought that was a lot of money. And it was. But then you look, it's just like Andre Palat. Look at the big bump he got because of the Cup championship he helped win and the leadership that he can bring. Other teams value that. When you go on the open market, that's going to raise the price. So from a player's standpoint, you have to at least explore that. I know he didn't want to leave. Well, he didn't want to lose him. I know there's some players that are not happy with the situation, but it's reality. And, Alex Killorn did a lot of great things for this organization. I wouldn't be surprised if he's back in the organization at some point, sometime soon, once his playing days are over. But at the end of the day, this was a business decision that the Lightning had to make and Alex Killorn had to make. And both are going to be better off for it from a financial standpoint. Maybe not so much on the ice, because let's face it, Alex Killorn is not going to a cup contending team in Anaheim. But from a financial standpoint, it works out for both teams.
And when you look at some of the other moves we made, and I'll start with the Ross Colton one, because that was sort of the first domino to fall there. I viewed it at first, and I was like, okay, maybe they're trying to do this so they could have more flexibility to try to keep Killorn, and then that didn't happen. Did you view it as it was more that way, or what do you think the reasoning was behind the Ross Colton move?
Yeah, the Colton trade was not tied to Alex Killorn at all, because Ross Colton, I said this at the end of the season, he was going to be a cap killer because he has arbitration rights, and he has a 20-goal season. He has scored a couple of huge goals in the playoffs, and if that case goes to arbitration, his 1.125, I think the cap it was this year, probably triples, if not more. And again, that's something that the Lightning was not going to be able to work. And we'll get into the free agents, but if you look at the free agents that they signed, all of them are under $1 million except for Connor Sheary. That tells you the kind of cap constraints that they are at. And Ross Colton was just not going to be able to fit in an arbitration award, and he would have filed. There's no doubt in my mind he would have filed, to make it work. So we knew pretty much at the end of the season that Ross Colton was not going to be back this year just because of that reason. And they get a second-round pick, a high second-round draft pick that they use on Ethan Gauthier. That's good value to get back for Ross Colton. Maybe you'd have liked to see a first, but the fifth pick in the second round, not too bad in what is considered to be probably the deepest draft in 2003.
Interesting stuff there. Erik Erlendsson joining us here. Corey Perry also gone, and I think I saw he got $4 million. Wow. Any other of the departures shock you at all? Put Pat Maroon in there.
Yeah, the Maroon one surprised me a little bit. Just because of what he's meant to this locker room, and he was the guy when they brought him in 2019 that basically said, "Look, get over yourself. You lost in the first round last year. You had a great year. Get over it. We're on to this year." He was that guy that kind of pushed the team in that direction and really had a big key in getting that season turned around and eventually landing with the Stanley Cup championship there in the bubble. He had one more year left on his contract. So from the intangible values, Pat Maroon still has a lot. Somebody watched him play last year. He doesn't have a lot left on the ice. And I think the Lightning saw here, saw an opportunity to be able to shed some salary. They retained 20% in the deal, so it's $800,000 cap hit savings, which doesn't sound like much. But when you're a team like Tampa Bay and you're going to be up against the cap again, and everything else that Julian and Matthew Darche have been able to do, to keep the team competitive in the flat cap era, that's a lot of money to be able to open up and give them roster flexibility. So none of the moves surprised me, departures, except for the Maroon one. I thought he would be here for his final year of his career because he's probably going to retire as soon as his contract is over. So it surprised me that they moved him.
And then also, I mean, they made a lot of forward additions when you look at Sheary and Archibald and Glendening, and a lot of people were, are we going to get a defenseman, right? Because it felt like they needed to add a guy back there, and they made a little underrated move, I thought, yesterday with Calvin DeHaan, and I know what, Breezeball had said. They kind of had their 7 defensemen mapped out, but is that a guy you think could sneak in and be one of their top 6 potentially by the time we get to opening night?
Yeah, I think you can slot him in as number 3 left-hand side defenseman right now behind Victor Hedman, Mikhail Sergachev. Veteran guy, he can eat some minutes. He'll kill some penalties for you. A little similar to Ian Cole, maybe not the same style of game as Ian Cole, but in terms of the role and the minutes that he can play, I think that's a really good fill. And again, the value of the contract, right? $775,000. That's almost a league minimum. To bring in a guy that can play some minutes like that. Good value. I mean, under the restraints that the team has for the pickups that they've made here to kind of retool this team and give the third and fourth lines in particular a much different look. They're a lot faster. They're going to be a lot more aggressive on the forecheck with these forwards that they've added. Luke Glendening coming in as a shutdown center. He's a fantastic face-off guy. To be able to bring all these guys in for basically $4.2 million, that's huge to be able to fill 5 roles with that kind of money in today's game. It's an incredible value play by Julian Breezeball to kind of give this team a different look. You still got the core. The core is still there. Maybe you don't have the depth you had a couple years ago. We all saw that kind of coming. But it's a different look, and it's going to make them a faster team and a harder team to play against.
Erik Erlendsson joining us here at Lightning Insider. So what do you think the lines look like now? Obviously, the top line we'll go with Hagel, Point, and Cooch, Stamkos, Cirelli, and Sheary. On the second line, I'm thinking maybe. Third line, Eyssimont, Paul, Tanner Jeannot. And fourth line, it could be a lot of different things, but we'll see Glendening centering, maybe Koepke and Archibald. Yeah, is that how you see it?
That's how it is. The only one that you might look at is, do you bump Stamkos up to play with Point Kucherov? Do you load up on that top line? I think in the early stages of the season, it's probably the way you want to go, and then see if, Sheary and Hagel, who are just 2 buzzsaws on the forecheck, and winning pucks behind the net, if they can mesh with Cirelli. But other than that, I think those are probably the lines we'll see. I mean, Alex Barré-Boulet is still in the conversation. He had another great year in the American Hockey League. Came up and played 1 game for them this year. Wanted him to work on his defensive game, and in that 1 game, I noticed more than a few, good defensive plays by Alex Barré-Boulet. So is this the year he's going to finally break through and kind of make it? Could he be somebody that fits in on the second line? So there are some good young players, not A chippers, not blue chippers, not A+ prospects, but they have some of them that are still there called Koepke. We haven't talked about Lucas Edmonds, who was their second-round pick last year. So they've got some guys that are on that cusp that could potentially fill some of those roles as well. But I think if you're looking at it right now, those are probably the 12 forwards that are going to start opening night against Nashville.
And so I guess with the money they have left, we're kind of looking towards what's going to happen with Tanner Jeannot. Have you been able to sort of pinpoint or ballpark what you think that number and maybe term is going to be for Tanner Jeannot?
I think they'd like to get him signed to a longer-term deal if they can keep the cap hit down. I think that's the goal from Tampa Bay standpoint. If I'm not mistaken, I think he might have arbitration rights as well. I think the 5th, so Wednesday, is the last day for players to file for arbitration. We'll see if Jeannot goes that route. But, 2.25, 2.5 million, maybe somewhere in that range if they could get that done. But again, if it goes to arbitration, he's got a 20-goal season under his belt. He was, I think he was top 5 for Rookie of the Year 2 years ago when he had that 20-goal season, and leads the league in fights. So he has a lot of things in his favor if it goes to an arbitration case. But I think the Lightning would like to be able to get that contract in the $2 to $3 million range if they could.
Erik Erlendsson joining us here at LightningInsider.com. What do you think the D pairs look like? I mean, pretty straight from last year. And is there a Nick Perbix in the minors or anywhere that might come up and surprise?
I don't think there's anybody in the minors right now that's surprised. I mean, we can keep an eye on Sean Day. His game has kind of turned around a little bit. He's one of those guys. When he was 15 years old, he got exceptional status to go into the OHL a year early, so you can kind of see what kind of a player he had the potential to be. He's never met it, but he was really good last year for Syracuse. They missed him in the playoffs. He had a broken wrist that kept him out of the lineup down the stretch and in the postseason for them. He's a guy that can maybe step in and play some minutes if he needed to. They've got Jack Thompson, who's an offensive right-hand shot defenseman. He's not quite ready for the NHL. So I think the 8, that are under contract right now, I would assume we'll go with Hedman and Perbix, just like we saw at the tail end of the year. The chemistry between Sergachev and Darren Radish was fantastic when those two got together. Even that postseason series against Toronto, and then that would leave, maybe DeHaan with Erik Chernak, and there again we have the issue: who does Erik Chernak play with, right? That was a big thing last year without Ryan McDonough on his left side. It wasn't until he got to play with Ian Cole a little bit that they found some chemistry. So now Erik Chernak is your top right-hand shot defenseman, and is he going to play with Victor Hedman? I don't know. I don't know if he can play with Victor Hedman. He probably needs somebody a little more less freewheeling to play on his side. So we'll see where Chernak and DeHaan fit in, and those aren't third pairing minutes, but that might be the third pair.
And I'm sure you've been paying attention to the entire league, obviously, this weekend and what they've been doing. But for the teams that are kind of around where the Lightning are, and maybe just in the Atlantic, the Bostons of the world, the Torontos, the Floridas, the teams that they're going to be competing with, do you think any of those teams got substantially better here and made themselves better teams here going forward for this season?
I think Buffalo did. You look at the terrific back end they got with Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power, and now you bring in a guy like Erik Johnson, who was a former number 1 overall pick, won a cup with Colorado. They're bringing Connor Clifton from Boston, good hard-nosed defenseman, and I think they got drastically better on the back end. Their big question is going to be in goal. Is Devin Levi the guy? So I can see Buffalo taking a jump this year. Ottawa, I'm not sure what to make of Ottawa. We all thought they were ready to take the next step, but they're looking to move Alex DeBrincat. So there's a lot of issues going on with Ottawa. Toronto's the interesting one. They bring in Ryan Reeves, Tyler Bertuzzi, and Max Domi. Does that make Toronto a better team? I don't know. I don't know if Toronto's better, right now than they were yesterday with some of these signings. So the Atlantic's going to be tough, but Buffalo is the team that I look at that could make a big jump out of the playoff picture into the playoff conversation in the division next year.
Well, it doesn't really matter because it's Toronto. They're not going to win anything. Hey, we had a question from one of our listeners. Bruce Corshine says, what the hell happened to Nick Paul, the great Houdini? Any idea?
His offense disappeared. If you look at Nick Paul when he was scoring goals early in the year, he was getting shots off in the middle areas of the ice. He was getting them off quickly. He wasn't getting to those areas in the second half of the year, and I think that really hurt, his production. I think he can get back to that. I think he understands what he has to get back to. He was working on other aspects of his game. I mean, he was pretty good in the playoffs in that series against Toronto. He had a couple of goals. I think he finally snapped that goal drought in the postseason with a huge goal. I think in Game 5, was it? Or game? I forget which game it was, but it was in Toronto. He had that big goal. But he's still trying to find his place in his niche, right? He played when Cirelli was out is when he was playing his best because he was playing kind of second line minutes, primarily with Stamkos and Killorn, and he dropped him down to a different role. His game kind of took on a different shape. But you'd like to see him use that big body he has in the middle areas of the ice. That's where he needs to be better on a more consistent basis.
All right, Double E's, thanks for taking some time out from your Ohio vacation. Tell your son I said hello and look forward to a new season. Can't wait to get back at it, my friend. It's going to be fun.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, it'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, that's for sure. But this long break, I ain't going to lie, I ain't hating it. And it feels forever. I mean, this goes to show you how much damn hockey these guys played over 3 years. And I still tell everyone, they're like, oh, the Lightning are broken. They only have 8 guys left from the 01. I mean, from the Stanley Cup team. But I'm like, you know what? That's the core. This is the league we're in. These guys were just freaking exhausted. There's nothing wrong with this team. And I agree with you with what JBB has done with less than nothing is incredible. I like the makeup of the team. We've lost some big personalities, guys we love. I get it. Get over it. Lightning fans, that's all I can tell you. Get over it. We're here to win cups, not have ceremonial, retirement runs. No offense to any of these guys. This is the business of the game, and I like Jay. I like what he's done, and I'm glad he's not a sentimental old fool like some general managers.
Yeah, and for anybody who thinks that it's time to jump off a bandwagon with this team and that these moves mean the team is on the decline, that's not the case at all. You still have Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov, Victor Hedman, Andre Vasilevsky, Steven Stamkos, Anthony Cirelli, Eric Turnek, Mikhail Sergachev. There is a ton of talent on this team, and to be able to bring in some of the players they have to surround them, this is not the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is not the Penguins who haven't won a series since they won the Cup in 2017. This is a team that can still contend for a Stanley Cup. It's going to be more difficult. The division is more difficult. They're not as deep offensively. That's the one area I look at and say, you need to get some production. You need to get Asamont 10 to 15 goals. You need to get Nick Paul up to the 20-goal mark to give you a better feeling for depth-wise offensively. But this is still a team that can compete with a Stanley Cup because you have Andre Vasilevsky in net. You always have a chance.
Damn right. Thanks, Double East. Appreciate it, my friend. We'll chat down the road. Thanks, buddy.
Okay, boys. Be well.
Yeah, I mean, come on, people. What's wrong with you? This team's on the decline. The game is changing, and the Lightning are doing their best to keep up with it, with what they can do in the salary cap. Would we like to keep all those guys? Honestly, no, because teams get stale. You need new life. You need new guys to come in and energize your team. If you ask me, would I like this group of guys over last year's group of guys? I'm going to say this group of guys. I think this is a team that's better suited for today's NHL hockey. And I think it's faster. Come on, man. We watched that fourth line last year. We love those guys, but man, they're so slow. They're so slow.
Yeah.
And at times we were not a tough team to play against. I thought we got soft in a lot of areas. Defensively, we were bad. I'm not putting them on the defensemen as much as I am the forwards on those third. I don't know.
And I got to be honest. I know, the Atlantic Division is viewed as it's going to be tougher. I have to be completely honest. I think the Atlantic is going to be easier this year because I got news for you. Boston is not putting up 135 points for whatever happened. Okay, I don't know what's going on with Patrice Bergeron. They traded Taylor Hall. They didn't bring back Orlov. They didn't bring back Bertuzzi. Okay, so that's 3 big players right there that you're taking out of your rotation. Hathaway as well. That's 4 big ones you're taking out of their rotation. Don't know what's going on with Bergeron. They're getting older with Marchand, obviously. They brought back Milan Lucic, for crying out loud. Talking about going on ceremonial retirement tours, bringing back old faces when they just don't have it anymore. Go look at Boston with Milan Lucic. Don't think Olmark's going to be the same player. Let's be honest. He's not replicating that season. And then Toronto, Ryan Reeves was who they had to have. They had to go get Ryan Reeves.
Yep.
Really. And Max Domi, who's been around the park and hasn't really worked out anywhere. So I'm not liking what I see out of Toronto and the pressure cooker that it is. Florida, they just got hot at the right time. Not trying to discredit what they did. That's kind of how it works. But they got hot at the right time. Are they going to replicate that? And then the rest of the Atlantic, Buffalo, Ottawa, Detroit, Montreal. I'll tell you right now, Detroit and Montreal, I don't think have gotten any better. I'm still perplexed by some of the moves that especially Detroit has made. And then Ottawa, to me, is just kind of right in the middle of the road. And as Erik mentioned, they're trying to trade DeBrincat, which makes no sense if you're trying to compete. So I think they're still a ways away. And then Buffalo's the trendy team. They're kind of like the Detroit Lions of the NHL, if you want to put it that way. But so I think the East, honestly, is going to take a step back next year. I really do. I don't think you're going to see a situation where you have 4 teams with over 100 points in the Atlantic this season. So I think that goes in the Lightning's favor. I think the Metropolitan is actually the division in the East, to me, that's going to be a gauntlet, not the Atlantic.
Yeah. And look, you got to go through them all. But to me, everybody's got their teams. We still have the best core in the game, I think. And I still think that we have the one thing we haven't had for the last 5 years: rest. I just think this team needed a mental and physical break, and I think they're going to come out like gangbusters. I'm just hoping they don't sprint out of the gate too fast, like Boston. I hope they, but they're smart enough to know that they got to leave some in the tank for when it matters most.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about that. I know. I just like this team better.
Listen, and also 88, we didn't really talk about. If you get an 88 who's well rested,
right,
who admitted that he was burned out last year pretty early on in the regular season, a healthy and rested 88 who's still in the prime of his career, that to me is the big difference, because we just didn't have that guy, I thought, in the playoffs.
No, we did not. I'm here to tell you. Nobody wants to criticize Vasi. Look, last year Brady wasn't Brady and Vasi wasn't Vasi, and that's why we didn't win championships last year, in my opinion. And that's no knock on Vasi. For God's sakes, look how much pressure-packed hockey the dude has played. It's unprecedented. I can't go back and find a player that has played more playoff games. You won't. In the last, 30, 40 years, in that small amount of time as a goalie, pressure-packed hockey. He didn't miss a game in the playoffs.
Right.
So for 4 years, I'm sorry, the guy needs a little bit of a break, and I think he's going to be tremendous. I think he's going to win the Vezina, and I think he's going to lead this team deep into the playoffs. I'm not going to, sit up here and say, oh, they're going to win the cup. It's a long season. We'll see what happens. But again, as I look around the league, look, Edmonton is ferociously good. The Vegas, can Aiden Hill be that good for that long?
I'll tell you who I think's about to wake up this year and be back to what they were is Colorado. I've taken note to what they've done. Yeah. I think Colorado, they added Ross Colton, they added Drouin, who I know everybody's like, oh, remember him? And he's had a rough go of late, but you know what? Who he played with before he got drafted who he played with in juniors?
Who?
McKinnon. And him and McKinnon were absolutely lethal. Now, obviously, this is a decade ago, but if I think anybody's going to revitalize that guy's career, I think it's going to be Colorado. They made some other really good moves. I think Colorado is still – I think they're the team to beat in the West, in my opinion. It might maybe the NHL. I mean, just right now, with looking at things, I think Colorado's the team to beat.
All right. We shall see. But I listen, if you're a Lightning fan and you're jumping off the bandwagon, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Give up your tickets to somebody with some faith, because I think this team's. I think Eric's right on the money. What Bruce Broad did with nothing was unbelievable, and he mentioned Glendening and faceoffs. Damn, how often do we need a guy to win a big faceoff against Toronto?
Yep.
So I love it. I love it all. Yeah, and if as Bruce said. Drouin, such a wasted talent. If you're banking on Jonathan Drouin, you're going to the wrong bank, bro.
I'd like the fit if he plays with McKinnon. I think there's something there. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We're gonna get into some Bucks news. There's another publication out there dumping on the Bucks. I love it. Absolutely love it. Mike Evans chatted a little bit over the weekend. We'll get into that. He's got his eyes on the prize. And some other, we're going to get back to the Rays, too. We got some more Kevin Cash to get you, some more Julian Brisebois. A lot more coming in the 11 o'clock hour. Brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Great time to get them to shop your insurance needs. They got me some new auto insurance last week. Saved me $600. $600 in a 6-month contract. So do that. 813-877-7799. Back in 3. This is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve
and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue, that's my carrier, love them, paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa. And for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock.
This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Monday. Great to hear from Erik Erlendsson. Great to get some great insight on some of the moves by the Lightning. We'll get to Julien BriseBois here, a couple more clips from him. We'll hear from Kevin Cash in his second hour. We'll talk some Buccaneers, some college football, all coming your way here. And we got to get to all my Vegas stories. Tons of great Vegas stories. The match was fun. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. I got up close and personal with Patrick Mahomes and Klay Thompson and Steph, and Travis Kelce was a nut job. Chuck Barkley out there doing the match, so we'll get to that in our second hour as well. But I wanted to hear a little bit more from Julien Brisebois, if we can, Nick. We heard his soundbite on losing Killorn. Now let's hear him talk about the new signings that we just chatted about as well. Here's Julien Brisebois.
Particular order, maybe work my way from our back end up front. We signed Jonas Johansson to a 2-year contract to be our backup goaltender. Jonas is still a young goalie who we feel has untapped potential. We are excited to get to work with him. He has tremendous size. He has some NHL experience. He's actually put up really good numbers when he's had the opportunity to play in the NHL over the years. Obviously, cost or cap space is a consideration for that position. And, to be able to lock up our backup goaltender for what is the league minimum for the next 2 years is of great value to us from a cap management standpoint. To bring in a still relatively young goaltender that has that size and that track record at the NHL level and come in for that cap number, we feel will provide us tremendous value for the next 2 years. Then if we move up to our forward group, we signed Connor Sheary to a 3-year contract. Connor is a well-established top 9 forward at the NHL level, can play really up and down your lineup, either wings, has a history of playing with elite players, both in Pittsburgh, where he won 2 Stanley Cups, and played with Sidney Crosby and Geno Malkin, and more recently playing in Washington, where he got to play with Alex Ovechkin. Not everyone has the ability to play with, elite players like that, but Connor has proven that he can do that, can kill penalties, can play on the power play. So super versatile player that coaches are going to really enjoy having on the team because of all of the flexibility he will provide our roster. Also comes in with a winning pedigree. Luke Glendening is a center that we have signed as well, right shot center, who excels at taking draws, really effective penalty killer, gives us an option for taking right side face-offs, especially on the penalty kill. Really hard to play against, good shutdown, checking forward, that has had that role for many years in the league and has been successful in that role for many years in the league, and one of the premier face-off guys in the league. Adds speed to our bottom 6, so that was also of value to us. Signed for 2 years at $800,000. Again, what we feel will provide us really good value and help us win going forward. Josh Archibald also signed to a 2-year deal. Bottom 6 winger, signed to a 2-year deal for $800,000. Again, provides a lot of speed, hard to play against, can kill penalties, really good forechecker. Both he and Luke Glendening and Connor Sheary are all really good forecheckers. So kind of fits the identity we want to play with, where we're playing with pace. We're aggressively and relentlessly forechecking, creating turnovers, and generating offense off of those turnovers. All 3 of these forwards are really effective checkers who can help you protect leads, can play against the other team's best players. So it's not always on our first and second line to get those matchups. And I think that's going to also free up some of our higher scoring forwards from some of those defensive responsibilities, knowing that our players that will likely be in our bottom 6 are able to assume that role for us.
There's Julien Brisebois right there running down all of the players that he signed, better in his words than our words, but that's what he was looking for in terms of getting these new guys for as cheap as they could. Obviously, coming to play in Tampa Bay is a great draw these days. So you get some guys maybe at a lower level, and guys that know that this is an opportunity to win a cup. This is still one of the best cores in hockey. So let's keep it. Should we keep it going there with?
We'll play the last one here that I had from Brisebois. If he had an update here on where things stand with Hagel and Stamkos, which is the next two, or actually behind Jeannot, the next two big things that they have to get done here, probably this season or next season.
With the cap constraints being more and more challenging to navigate, it makes it harder and harder to get deals done early on. But we obviously think tremendously of both players and hope that both will be with us beyond next season, and we have plenty of time to get them signed before they become in Stammer's case, an unrestricted free agent, and in Brandon's case, a restricted free agent with arbitration rights next summer.
All right, there's Julien Brisebois on the Lightning's possible extensions. Like I said, I like where they're at. One other thing I wanted to bring up, I brought this up on Twitter this weekend. I kind of like to see the NHL take a page out of some of the other leagues' books and find a way for teams to have an advantage keeping their own players. Whether it's being able to restructure contracts like the NFL does, or in their salary cap and extend them, or maybe have some exceptions for, like the NBA does, for keeping your own players. I think that's something, and owners can choose, like in the NBA, if they want to go over, a luxury tax or what have you, they can do so. I think it's beneficial for, especially in hockey. I think you get better play with long-term chemistry. I just think it's better for the game. I think it's better for the fans, number one. What do you think about that, Nick? In order to, allowing some exceptions, like say a Palat or something like that, a guy that's been with the team, like Killorn, it's a perfect example. A team that, if you've been with a team for more than say 8 years, you're allowed to, go $8 to $10 million over the salary cap to keep your own players. What do you think about that?
Well, you're asking a lot from Mr. Bettman to do some radical.
He's not busy with fixing the world. Let's say maybe he can dig into fixing his league.
But you're asking him to make radical changes to his beloved league, which I don't think he really is interested. I mean, just look at the playoff format. It doesn't matter. The star player of the league, or still is to an extent, Sidney Crosby, says that, the playoff format probably needs to go back to what it used to be, or it needs to change from what it is, because it's probably really ridiculous right now. And Gary Bettman has no interest, even though the star player and everybody in the league will tell you the playoff format sucks. Okay. This is what it is. Or, continuing to pump resources into a dead market in Arizona that has no future for the NHL as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. When you have other cities who are hungry, a la Quebec City, that would take that team in a heartbeat and would sell it.
Already has a stadium ready to go.
Already has an arena ready to go. So that's my overall point there. Would I like to see that? Of course I would. I think it's a cool thing, but I think you're asking a little too much out of the commissioner of the NHL to make a right decision here. So I don't think it's ever going to happen. I mean, I think it's foolish enough that the NHL cap has hardly moved. It's hardly moved over the last years. And even like now, what did it go up? Like $1 million, a little bit, $2 million, like at most. Like the cap doesn't move whatsoever. So you're making it even more difficult on your teams to keep this continuity together, to your point, because the cap just doesn't go up. And then I think you get into points where a lot of teams don't have a lot of excess money to spend. And then you get into free agency this year. And if you've been keeping track to these deals, the free agency class looks like it's going to be the same one that we had this year, because everybody's going on one-year deals for the most part. And because teams aren't spending because of the cap. I mean, so I think the NHL has bigger issues to fry, quite frankly, when it comes to that. I mean, that'd be kind of an add-on if they can fix this cap situation. But again, I'm not Gary Bettman, right? Clearly. So I think he has other things I think he needs to fix first before we even touch that subject.
Yeah. I think it would be something. I haven't heard anybody really talk about it, though. I think it would be something to get, get some of these, bigger names in hockey than me and you start to talk this up, because I think the fans would welcome it wonderfully, because the cap's going to go up in the next few years, and I think this would be a more creative way for the cap to go up, quite frankly. Obviously, the Players Association would be all for it because it's more money for players. It extends the cap as well.
The whole cap thing just frustrates me as a whole, because it's like the NHL's not poor. Does it make the same profit as the NBA and the NFL and the MLB? No, but like, come on. I mean, what's their revenue like a year? It's like $5 billion or something like that, and probably rising.
Look, the game. Look, I've been covering.
What's the point of having a cap as low as it is after all this time? It just makes no sense. And then it's like, to me, it's the biggest contrast is when you see the NBA this weekend and you see the deals that guys are getting. I mean, there's no-name guys in the NBA are making more money than Connor McDavid.
Yeah, but that's always going to be the case because the NBA is such a smaller roster.
I get it, it's 12 guys, but the NHL, I mean, it's 20. It's the most comparable of the other ones, but I know it's not. I know it's almost apples to oranges. I'm just on a soapbox because I'm seeing all these teams give out huge money to guys who are going to play like 7 minutes a night, and then in the NHL, it's like we're fighting to get a buck here.
Well, it's the NBA, bro. That Chinese money goes a long way, and they work hard for it too. Those boys. So it's just, and I think the NHL is a much better product than the NBA. Much better product than the NBA. I think it's a better product than baseball, quite frankly. I'd rather watch it than college basketball. I mean, after NFL and college football, NHL is my third favorite sport. And and when it comes to playoff hockey, it may be my favorite sport because that's just nothing like it. And I think I don't know what the hell Bettman's doing. I really don't. Well, we know what he's doing. He's spending time on the wrong things, in my opinion. Because this league should be expanding in droves, and he should be up ESPN's ass to give them better promotion, better looks, better everything. Because I think they're getting short shrifted big time, and they just this league needs to be more exposed. It's got the best product, one of the best products in sports. It should be making more money than baseball. Or of course, baseball has twice as many games. I get it. But it should be better. The players should be making more money. It should be more of a world. They should be making more money on the worldwide stage. I don't think they take advantage of the global market like they do. I just don't think Bettman's centered on where he should be centered on. I think he's more worried about other things that have nothing to do with the growth of the real growth of the game, to be quite honest. So, and I think that would be a great idea, since I thought of it. To allow teams, but I mean, the Lightning are a perfect example of that. I mean, I think it's number one. The fans would love it. Fans would love it. All right, so before you get out of here, Nick's got to go officiate a wedding or some shenanigans, right? What is that? What you're doing? I don't know. What do you?
I have a friend getting married today.
Okay. All right. Do you have time to play the cash before you get out of here?
I do. Yes. All
right. Let's get cash. This is cash yesterday as we transition back to the Rays a little bit. After that ridiculous call, which he'll try to explain to us.
All right, we'll start with going back to the bottom of the third. I guess it started with Julio in France, eventually became a 5-run inning. What were you seeing from Taj in that inning?
It just couldn't put guys away. I thought he had pretty good stuff. Came out of the gate just pumping strikes with some nasty stuff, and I don't think it went away. It just the finish to get those in those 2 strike counts didn't come like they normally do. I mean, Taj is going to be a strikeout guy probably the rest of his career, and they did a good job late in counts of putting balls in play and putting pressure and getting guys on base.
And then Isak in France, what did you see, and what was the explanation from the umps?
Yeah, well, I'm glad Isak is okay. Look, it was a very unique, tricky play, very tough call. I think the ruling is if the fielder has a chance to field the ball before impact, it's not considered obstruction. So it doesn't rule in favor of the defensive player. I'm sure we'll get some more clarity on that, but that's how they saw it.
You said Isak is doing okay, aside from that rib discomfort, I guess?
Yeah, I believe he went and got x-rays, quick x-rays, negative, so that's good for us.
So I guess it looked like Guccione clearly called interference or obstruction and out. So how did that change?
He didn't have the best angle, so Jordan at second base felt like he had a better angle, and said that, in his opinion, that the ball, Isak had already had a chance to field the ball.
So he didn't have a chance to field it at the time of impact, is what you're saying they told you.
Correct. That's the initial call that Chris made, but then when Jordan saw it from a different angle, they changed it over.
Okay. I thought it was the other way.
Yeah.
And then Jason Adam, that obviously got away. They didn't even get a hit.
I mean, tough outing. Yeah, it just couldn't. Sometimes pitchers don't feel it and can't get that feeling. Generally, we see him kind of get back in the zone, but Jason, for whatever reason, just couldn't do that. Consistently up and in to a lot of righties with sliders and fastballs. Just a tough outing.
Just to have that big of a lead and let it get away.
That's generally when we have leads like that, we end up winning those games. And like to think if we're in that position again, we'll find a way to win.
Well, I think Kevin Cash was as miffed as most of us are. I think it's a horseshit explanation from the umpires. It's completely over officiating. It's overthinking. If you missed the first part of the show, or missed the play, Paredes is coming in to field a ball, and Ty France just bulldozes him on the way in to field the ball. And by a split second, the ball may have gotten by Paredes because he could see out of the side of his eyes, peripheral vision, a 220-pound man about to blow him up. And he lifts up his glove to absorb the blow because he's thinking, of course, the runner's going to run around him. That's what they always do. That's what they're supposed to do. But this guy just plows him over. He can't make the play. And for some ridiculous reason, the umps don't call interference. It leads to 4 more runs, and the Rays end up losing the game and blowing a 6-1 lead. And you say, well, they could have come back. Look, of course they could have, but don't make the stupid-ass call. Stupid-ass call. And then we don't have to worry about it. We have to talk about it. So, whatever. It is what it is.
Yep.
All right.
I was
let you go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go in a second here, but I'm just going to point out, too, by the way, I'm really looking forward to and we'll get obviously more into it this week as we go on. But remember, the Atlanta series is coming up, and if you missed your chance to get the tickets, you're going to have to shell out some big bucks to go to this Atlanta series. I looked at the tickets yesterday, JP.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking like $90 is the cheapest seat remaining in the place. That's it. $90. This is going to be
up with the details on exactly how many seats are left and how many $10 seats they sold for this game that were probably bought up at the beginning of the season. I don't know exactly, but I just have to give we give the Rays a hard time for their ticket prices. We have, and they've hurt us. They've certainly have changed a lot of their policies. So I don't know. I don't want to criticize them because I don't know when the tickets were.
Oh no, I'm not bringing it to criticize it. I'm just pointing out that I'm just merely saying I'm going to be in the building on Friday night and I can't wait because there's like barely any tickets remaining. Is my point. And so this series against the Braves is just going to be crazy excitement around it.
Well, listen, the Braves have the best record in baseball now.
Yes.
So the Rays have been dethroned, and now they'll come to the slop, and we'll see.
Oh my goodness.
We'll see.
There's no need to go that far. There's no need to go that far.
Oh, can't wait for a new stadium in Tampa. Right there on the water, Ybor Marina. It's going to be beautiful. People losing their minds over the weekend with me about, you said it's going to be in Tampa. We're one. People like, it's a 1% chance it won't be in St. Petersburg. I'm like, all right, we'll see. We'll see how it all works out. I'm done predicting. This is my opinion. It's what I think is going to happen. So I still don't see it happening in St. Pete, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, we'll let you get out of here, Nick Geddes. Nick, intern Nick's jumping in your chair. All right, a lot of pressure for the young man, the young rookie. We bringing in the lefty or the righty?
Are we bringing in Beeks or are we bringing in Diekman? What are we doing here?
I think we got Beeks coming in. I don't know. We'll see how he performs. We'll see. Was he going to give up the? Forget it. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side, hopefully, because intern Nick's going to be running the show, and we'll be back with some more. We'll talk some Buccaneers, talk some college football. I got some other great stuff coming your way. Stay with us.
Guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo. Or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by. Never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Tell them JP sent you. Get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue. That's my carrier. Love them. Paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa, and for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor, on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Nick Geddes is off, and intern Nick is in the chair. At least I think he is. Now I can see him. All right, now pop us up. And go over to the brand. Well, I can actually do this too. So we'll get this going for you, Nick. How you doing this morning, Nick? You doing all right, buddy? You doing all right? There we go.
There we go. My bad.
All right. Unfortunately, I can hear myself there. Now I don't hear myself. All right, you're good. Now get yourself centered up in there. Get your laptop. There you go. Now you're looking good. How you doing this morning, partner?
I'm doing
good.
You
feeling nervous? You coming in and out of the bullpen for Nick? You feeling good?
I mean, I was a little nervous, and then you compared me to Jalen Beeks.
Well, yeah, right? It can only go up from there, right? Yeah. So, all right, just relax. Have some fun with us. This is fun. Just make sure you push the right buttons, and everybody will be happy.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so listen, we like to hear different voices on the show every now and then. You just brought some topics to play that we don't often talk about. I will tell you, I actually did watch a little soccer last night as we got some retribution on the team that took us out of the World Cup and made the great phrase, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" when the USA lost to Trinidad and Tobago, however the hell you want to say it. What is that, 6-7 years ago, whatever, and couldn't go to the World Cup.
Yep.
But last night we whooped their ass 6-0. And give us an update on the United States men's team.
Well, that was the end of the group stages. So now we get into the real stuff, knockout rounds. I don't believe our opponent has been determined yet. We're supposed to face the runner-up of one of the groups. That should be decided soon. But our next game should be, I want to say, the 8th.
And this is the CONCACAF, right?
Yes, the CONCACAF Gold Cup.
You got to tell everybody what that is and what the significance is and all that good stuff. Most people don't follow soccer.
Yeah, it's the biggest competition in the CONCACAF. Normally, it's pretty much a battle between U.S. and Mexico because they've pretty much won all of it except for one time when Canada randomly won it. If we win it, we tie the record for most cups. So it is kind of like it's kind of like the bragging rights of CONCACAF, and
that's North America and Central America, correct?
Yes.
Doesn't count South America. Don't have the great Brazil and Argentina, all those great. So we should be winning this all the time. So
I mean the only team that could maybe take it is Mexico, and they just lost yesterday to Qatar.
Is Qatar in CONCACAF?
Yeah, that surprised me. They are.
That's weird.
Yeah. No, you think that's weird? Not only did they lose 1-0, if you look at the shots on goal, Mexico had 25, Qatar only had 1, and that was the only one that won in.
Interesting. Well, yeah, 25 and the only one that goes. That's crazy. That's how crazy soccer can be. All right, I wanted to. I'm getting some text here, Miss. We'll have to do that tomorrow. Corey Long is texting me about he wants to get on today, but since I don't know if I want to give you that responsibility, Nick, to call somebody and get them on the air, so we'll have to do that tomorrow. He had a Rays question for me. I can only imagine what that is. So I want to talk a little Buccaneers because Mike Evans did a little interview over the weekend, which I thought was pretty cool. He was doing his camp in Houston. And did an interview with KPRC, Houston's Ari Alexander. And he asked him about Jerry Rice's mark of 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons. And he said, I do think about it. It's right there. I'm already 1 of 1 right now. I hope I can pass the great Jerry Rice in his record. Obviously, nobody will pass his records probably like ever total, but that 1,000-yard streak would be cool to have. And as a kind of a background to that, Rice fell 73 receiving yards short of 1,000 during his 85 rookie season before eclipsing the mark in each year from 86 to 96, 6 times leading the league during that span. He holds the record for most 1,000-yard seasons with 14. Obviously, Evans has the overall record to start his career with 9 straight 1,000-yard seasons. There's a 5-way tie for third most 1,000-yard campaigns in a career. Evans can pass Randy Moss for second most overall and tie Jerry Rice's record for consecutive. Now, does Evans have 9 or 10? Is he at 9 or 10? I think he's at 9, right?
I think it's 9.
Yeah.
Let me confirm that.
Yeah. So he said I should get 1,000 yards if I'm healthy every year. It ain't that. I want to be one of the tops in the league, and I want to be winning games. That's what I care about. That's what I love about Mike. He's selfless. And talking about his quarterbacks, he said, Kyle's improved a lot. I'm really impressed with what I've seen from Baker. Whoever the quarterback will be, I'm positive there's going to make the right choice, and we're going to win some games. I saw another one of the big publications do best rosters in the league, and of course they had the Chiefs at the top. And they had the Bucs at 27, the 5th worst roster in football.
Wow, that low?
Yeah, and as somebody put it, when you look at it from a starting standpoint, we lost Brady, Mike Edwards, and SMB from last year.
Right.
When everybody had, at the beginning of the year, our roster was the second best to win the Super Bowl. But now without those 3 starters, suddenly it's the 27th ranked roster. This is the Brady effect on steroids, right? This is they go same team going from Brady to Baker Mayfield, 2 wins. I mean, it's so lazy and it's ridiculous. And listen, this team may fall flat on their face because of lack of leadership. If Todd Bowles cannot become a better game manager, cannot create more accountability on this team, then this team might be a 4-win team. But the roster says way different. I mean, guys that have been to the Pro Bowl off the top of my head. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Ryan Jensen, All-Pro, Tristan Wirfs, All-Pro, Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett, and I know Shaq's coming off the injury. I get it. Devin White, Levante David, Antoine Winfield, and 2 corners that are among the best in the league. And you're going to tell me that's the 27th best roster in the league? Okay. All right. Whatever you say, experts. I'm excited to see this team play. And I think if Mike Evans were being completely honest, and it's great to hear him say that Kyle's improved tremendously. And I think the fact that he's getting reps and battling Baker Mayfield tells me that, I'm not going to say he's going to be the worst quarterback in the league, but I would have loved to have seen him play against Atlanta last year. It's still a complete buffoonery why we didn't do that. So I think Baker's got the job, and I think he's going to do. I think it's going to be very comparable to the season he took the Browns to the playoffs and won a game. I think it was 27 touchdowns, 8 or 9 interceptions that year with a really strong running game. And I think that's what Todd Bowles is trying to replicate. And I think they can do it. I really do. You got a Bucs take, Nick?
No, I do too. Honestly, you kind of hit it on the head there when you're like, I think he can have the season he had when he took the Browns to the playoffs. I feel the same way. Because at the end of the day, he's only had maybe 2 legitimately bad seasons back to back. One was because he took that horrible injury in his final year in Cleveland, and then last year was just weird. But he's still really young, and he's still got a chance to turn it around. He's playing with the most talent he's ever had. I mean, you just listed it off, which is why I can't believe that they put us at 27. It's do you know how many teams would kill to have the level of talent that we still have?
Yeah.
So no, I really hope. That's why I can't wait for the season, in the sense that I really think that we're going to be able to shock some people. And I also do think that even the Bucs are starting to lean a little bit toward Baker being the starter, because if you look at their social media, they're literally posting him everywhere. Like, they just posted a video of him trying to name. I'd look this up because it's pretty funny. German. They're showing him German football team logos from soccer, and he has to try to name them, and he's getting them so wrong.
Who's this?
Baker Mayfield. It's like their
Oh,
most
God.
recent Instagram. Yeah, it's their most recent Instagram post.
You know what I love about Baker too is he's like, the Bucks have asked him to do a lot of different things, you know, and he has shown up at everything. They asked him to go out and do a golf thing with Casey Phillips. I'm into it. You know, he did a great job with it. He's been at every OTA. He's been at every charity event. He's been at everything, and that shows a level of humility and also just commitment to the team. You know, he understands. He's been in this league long enough, and he understands. And not to say that Kyle Trask hasn't, because I saw Kyle at a bunch of events too. But I think Baker, more than anything, understands that he can't come in here and be, you know, hey, I'm the number 1 overall pick. I should own this job. I'm here to get my, you know, get some good numbers and then move on to the next deal, get a big contract, rehabilitate myself. He could have done that. But instead, he said, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to be humble. I'm going to be accountable to everybody. I'm not going to go off on stupid media questions, which we've heard plenty of them. I'm going to show my teammates that I'm here to work my ass off, and I'm going to work with them, not above them. I think he's done everything right. He's answered every question right. He's done everything right that he knows he needs to do to be a leader, an accountability leader, and have that credibility. So I'm hats off to him. Everybody's watching his every move, and he's done everything right. That's hard to do. No missteps for him. And from what I've seen, which was only one day and a shorter practice, but in talking to everybody that's been out there a lot, we've had the Pewter Report guys on. He's been phenomenal. And I'm here for it. I think I'm going to bet on him for comeback player of the year. And I think the offense is definitely going to be better than it was last year with Tom Brady. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, either way, we're rooting for him. He's done nothing. He's done everything right. He's just the kind of guy you want to root for.
Yes, no doubt about that. All right, you went to Jacksonville, right?
I did.
And saw the Durham Bulls play, and one Curtis Mead, who is one of the up-and-coming prospects for the Rays. Your thoughts on what you saw?
He should have hit for the cycle that day. He literally had everything. He had the single, the double, the triple. He was only a few feet away from hitting a home run. I thought it was gone what had happened. And, of course, they robbed him the next one when he walked it. But, man, he had an impressive game. And considering that was his first game back from injury, that's what made it really impressive. And he wasn't the only one. Jonathan Arenado was there. We talked about him on the show in the past.
Aranda, yes.
Aranda, thank you.
Yes.
He had 2 home runs that day. And then I always mispronounce his last name. It's Kyle F. something. He's one of our selections to go to the All-Star Futures game.
Yes. What is his name? I'll look it up later. Yeah.
Thank you. But he also killed it. Like they literally, like, the first inning, it was over. They scored 10 runs in the first inning. They scored so many runs that they couldn't fit them all on the scoreboard. So the scoreboard just said 0.
Love that. Such minor league stuff. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
This team, and these are names that we're going to start hearing in the next few weeks. And by the way, Aroldis Chapman, off the board, has gone to the Rangers. And when I saw that, I was like, and this is coming from me, who was like, I want no part of Aroldis Chapman. But when I saw him deal against us, I was like, okay, I'll hold my nose and take him. And I don't think I was trying to think of what the Rangers gave up for him. I don't know if you saw. It didn't look like a lot, but I could be wrong. And I said to myself, we're going to be facing the Rangers in the playoff. There's a good chance that we might face the Rangers in the playoffs. And if we do, are we going to rue the day that they got Aroldis Chapman and we did not? And I think there might be something to that. But we shall see. I don't know. I think the Rays, especially after this past week, what we've seen from the bullpen, even though the entire bullpen was one of the better bullpens in June. I think Nick said that they turned around, had the best ERA. I just don't see the back end of our bullpen right now as shut down as it needs to be in the playoffs. I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. Like every time the bullpen gets up, I like get ready to feel really stressed because normally that's how I end up feeling.
Yeah, Jason Adam, who was lights out last year, has just not been able to replicate that. Fairbanks, I'm okay with, but I don't know if I've seen the dominance that we saw last year. You just, it's got to be better. And at this point right now, I don't know. Rangers gave up left-hander Cole Reagans and rookie ball outfielder Ronnie Cabrera for Chapman. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that. Is Cole Reagans pretty good? Is he pretty good? I don't know. I don't know if those guys are any good. So Tim, chime in. Let me know who they are. But I think that was a great move by the Rangers. I think that was a fantastic move. And if Chapman stays healthy, he's going to be lights out in the ninth. And that's going to be a big, because the Rangers can obviously score some runs, and if they get a lead, it's lights out. Guess who's trending on Twitter this morning, among others?
Is it Wander?
Wander Franco. Greg Harvey tweeted out, since the first All-Star game in 1933, there have only been 18 first halves with 20-plus doubles, 25-plus stolen bases, 40-plus RBIs, and 800-plus OPS. And only 2 have not been named to the All-Star game. Jose Reyes in 2008 and Wander Franco in 2023. Ouch, babe. Ouch. That hurts.
Yeah, that's shocking. I don't know what else you can say about that.
Yeah. Third in the league in WAR. Doesn't matter which WAR you choose. Wander Franco is a top 3 player in the American League, and he's not named an All-Star. I mean, any way you slice it, that's a snub. That's a snub. But as I mentioned in the earlier part of the show, maybe in the grand scheme of things for the Rays, it's not a bad thing, because this might humble him a little bit. And who knows? Maybe that's the reason why he wasn't selected over Bo Bichette, because certainly his numbers were better in terms of overall WAR. I know if you look just at offense, you could put Bichette in there, but overall WAR, it's a shortstop position. It's a defensive position, so I think the WAR number is much more applicable here, and he got snubbed. But you know what? Hopefully it keeps him humble, keeps him a little bit more hungry, and he might get named to it anyway because of an injury. But in my mind, it's not the worst thing in the world. All right, Nick, you think you can hit a break?
I absolutely can.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, we'll be back in 3 minutes to wrap this thing up. I got a couple of college football notes, some other things from over the weekend, maybe a couple of Vegas stories. I'm gonna save most of them for tomorrow, but we'll be back in 3 minutes. Hopefully, stay with us. This is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money.
Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. Not bad, Nick. Now, we'll see. Pop us back up here. I got it. Don't worry. There we go. We're good. All right, we got the break in. Good job. All right, a couple other notes here before we get out of here. The Florida Gators have begun the planning process on a $400 million upgrade to the Swamp, which dreadfully needs it. Obviously, the experience at the stadium inside is, I mean, it's as loud a football field as I've ever been at. I was there famously in 1993, where Florida State was on its way to their first ever national championship. It was 3rd and 11, I believe, at the Gators around 18, 19-yard line. And FSU had been really dominating this game. But Florida made a valiant comeback, juggling catch in the end zone by Jack Jackson. You remember that? And the place was going bonkers. I was down on the field. You could not talk to the other person next to you. It was so freaking loud. And then there was Charlie Ward floating out to his left, finding work done along the sideline, a nice block in the back. That wasn't called. That was for the Sammy Smith holding call many years earlier in 1987 for your FSU Florida fans. A little payback there. So down the sideline he goes. It went from the loudest venue I've ever heard to one of the most quiet venues I've ever heard. But the Swamp is a home field advantage. It always has been, but it is so horribly outdated in terms of modern amenities. They put some nice luxury boxes in and done a real nice job with that, but just the overall concourse, it needs definitely needs an upgrade. So they've hired an architect now. $400 million they're going to put into it. It first opened in 1930 as a 22,000 seat stadium, and now it has a capacity for over 90,000. As Scott Strickland said, their AD. We look forward to working along with an architect that will start providing options on what those answers could look like and allow to continue to host college football's biggest and best fans in the Swamp. We're in the service business. We don't make widgets. We create experiences, whether it's for our student athletes or staff or ultimately for Gator Nation. So when you're in a service business, there's not a lot of tangible results. It's a lot of intangible results, which means we just got to make it better for our fans. So look forward to that. And I don't know. You know, they're obviously going to be able. They're going to keep playing while they're doing these renovations. So that might be a little difficult. I don't think they're going to close down the stadium. I haven't heard any thoughts about that. So, and besides, Jacksonville, the Jags may be coming to play in the Swamp while all this is going on as well. So we shall see. What else? Oh, a couple of commenters wanted to mention this. Sports books may be opening in Florida again soon. So, yeah. looking forward to this. Bally's had their, the Hard Rock. So the Hard Rock had their app open for a little while. Then all the gambling companies sued the state of Florida because DeSantis gave the monopoly to the Seminole tribe and got it and was going to get a ton of money back. I kind of like the deal myself, keeping it here in Florida. But now we're going to have an invasion of all the other sports books. So I guess that's what's going to open up here soon, and I'll be probably losing more money than I need to. But that should. But what is good about this though is the Rays, if they're smart, will use this to their advantage, and I think they will because they are smart and they know how to make money. Stu knows how to make money to put a sports book in the new stadium in Tampa. Huge revenue generators. So, yeah. And also look for the Hard Rock, as Thomas Casper says, to build out a new sports bar area. I believe in the addition they made by the pool, if you've been to the Hard Rock pool, there's a whole indoor area there where they do concerts and stuff now. But it's already there, ready for a sports book in a smaller venue type. But they can also expand it out into that other area. So Hard Rock is way ahead of the game. They're going to have a sports book right there by the pool, which is going to be sweet and ready to go. But definitely need to get them in the new baseball stadium, and that could be a great revenue generator. By the way, thanks, Tim, for the update on Cole Reagans as a mid-level reliever, 2-3 with a 5.92 ERA in 17 games. So they gave up nothing? Cabrera could be a stud. He was the real piece of the trade for Kansas. Okay, so Ronny Cabrera is the stud, but a long way away. So we could have given up an A-level stud and a middling reliever to get Aroldis Chapman?
Apparently.
Well, that may come back to bite us in the ass, but I think, Neander will go find somebody. He has to. They have to make a move in the bullpen. That's a must. All right, what else did we forget, Nick? Anything else?
Well, I want to give a shout out to my school, UCF, on officially joining the Big 12 on Saturday.
Yes, golf clap.
Yeah. We made it.
Meanwhile, giving the finger to USF. Who, by the way, they were mean again to us last week. You USF fans, you're so thin-skinned. And by the way, one more little math question here for you, a little factoid. 90% is not 100%. Matt, maybe many of you need to go back to math class at USF, or maybe they don't teach it at USF, but 90% is not 100%. Okay? Are we good on that? We understand that, how that works? There's 90%, and then there's 100%. There's 10% in the middle. Okay? Maybe one of your math professors can explain that to you, because clearly you all need to do a little brushing up on your math. All right, that ought to rile them up, Nick. That ought to rile them up for another 24 hours. Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. Bring it on. All you're doing is keeping us right.
All right, thanks to Erik Erlendsson for joining us today. Great job by him. Go check that out if you missed anything. Always go to Apple and Spotify. Listen to us on the podcast. You can also download our app, FanStream Sports, all one word. Listen to the show anytime, anywhere. And our website, fanstreamsports.com. We will see you tomorrow when the Rays and the Phillies get going. Close the show, Nick.
All right, let's do it.
There you go. Now put the volume up. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you later.